Hello, Aldo Figueroa here. And what we're going to do today within this video, this is a bonus video. I'm going to show you how you could use a camera and aim to be able to point towards an object so that the camera is always pointing toward that object and you could then animate the camera. Here's an example. What I have right here in this scene is some flying text. This text is applied onto a path. And if we were just to look at it, the text just flies along a path. And what we want to do now is we want a camera that's going to follow that text. And what I have already set up on this file is, let me go ahead and switch on this one to this are my, what I call camera 3 for right now. I'm going to go back to frame 1. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And my camera, it's following my flying text and it's also moving. If I'm gonna go and stop this, so you can see from, I will go to the top view. It's kind of hard to see, but this right here is my camera group. As you notice, as it scrolls through, it's going to move and point towards my text. So to do this, let me go and stop this, rewind. I'm going to go ahead and hide this camera so that it's out of the way. I'm using the keyboard shortcut, Control H to hide that camera. This is the same as going into display, hide, and then hide selection. To bring it back, you select it and tell it display, show selection. So what I'm going to do here in my scene. Now, this isn't what I'm going to show you is not specific to flying text. It's really to any object that is moving that you want to have your camera follow. So it just happens that for my students who are working on an assignment, this is what they're doing. And so the first thing that we need to do is we're going to create a camera and aim. If you go into the create menu and you go to camera, we're going to use the camera and aim option box. Click. And in the settings, I'm just going to go ahead and reset settings. I'm going to leave all these settings as is. However, I just want to quickly mention that if you want to experiment with different camera settings, you have all camera controls right here. But I'm just going to create my camera and aim, click, and what we get at the origin axis, let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to press F to focus. We have a camera object, and you will also have an aim. You're going to have a group. It's going to be camera number. This is number 4 on my scene right here. And it's going to include your camera and also your aim. And what this is that wherever this aim, I'm going to select it and use the move tool. I'm going to press W for the keyboard shortcut. If I move this, it is changing the rotation of my camera. And so no matter where my camera is at, I'm going to select my camera, for example. If I move this camera, it's always pointing towards the aim. And so what I want to do, I want to kind of have this object right here, this camera aim, to be connected to my text. But in order to do this, we cannot use grouping or parenting because if you notice right here in our outliner, the camera is already connected. It's already parented to this camera group. Not parented, it's a part of this group. So one object can only be part of either one child-parent relationship or one group. It cannot be multiple. So in order to overcome this, we are going to use what's called a constraint. Uh, and so first thing what I want to do, I want to select this camera and aim. And I'm going to move it so that it's like in the middle of the eye for twice. And so if you're wondering, yes, I am a Twice fan. For this one, what I've done before, I went ahead and told it to center pivot. If you don't center pivot, by default, when you're using the text control, the manipulator handle is at the bottom, typically on the bottom left side around here. So with this one, I just went to modify center pivot to change the pivot to the center. So what I want to do, I'm going to select this camera and aim. I'm going to switch from the top view. And first thing I'm going to do from my top, I'm sorry, from my 3D view, I'm going to go to my top view. I want to move this one so that it's somewhere right here. Now, I'm now going to switch my view, tap the space bar. And now I could see right here for my front view. Let me go ahead and zoom in so that you could see this a little bit better. I now want to move this up. And so I'm using these 2D views because sometimes I see students try to use the 3D view and move this manipulator handle, and it has no it doesn't go where it's intended. So I went to my orthographic views to move it. And so now that I have it in place, what I want to do, I need to select my object in a very specific order. I'm going to switch to my selection tool. I'm going to press Q on my keyboard. I'm going to select my text or my object. I'm going to hold down Control on a PC. I believe it would be Command on a Mac. And I'm going to hold down Control and then left mouse click on my aim. Very important that you make sure that you select the text first, basically the object, and then the one that's going to follow afterwards. Maya is very particular in the order of selection. And now what I want to do, I'm in the animation menu set. I'm going to go to constraint and I want to select a point constraint. I'm going to go to the option box and just tell it to edit, reset settings. And I'm going to use these options as is, and I'm going to tell it to add. And now what's going to happen is, let me zoom out. I'm already at the first frame. Once I press play, now this line's not updating, but if you look closely, the aim is following. It just happens in this case that the aim is following along the path. However, it's not connected to the path. And so to actually see this happening, this is camera 4. I'm going to press the space bar to go to my 4 panels. Typically down here on the bottom right-hand corner is your side view. But within these little panels, let's go ahead and zoom in here. I tap the space bar. We have a little file menu here. I'm going to go to panels, and typically it's an orthographic. It is your side view. However, I want to go to perspective. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to select camera 4. I'm going to rewind to frame 1. And now what's going to happen, I'm going to press play, and now it is following your object. This happens to be on a path, so it's following. Now that we have this, I'm going to stop this, go back to frame 1. I'm going to go back to my 4 panels. What we can do, we could now animate our camera group, not the camera, but the camera group. So what I want to do, say for example, I want this to kind of be zoomed out. So I'm going to select my camera group. I'm going to press W to use my move tool. Let's go in my perspective view. Very important. I'm going to try not to move your camera view like your perspective view. Technically, this camera is just a perspective camera. It just happens it's a type of camera, or it's a type of view that we're using to potentially select to render. So try not to use your Alt or Option button to rotate, to zoom, to dolly, to move within this view, because you're actually be moving the placement of the camera and you might mess it up. What we're going to do at frame 1, we're going to set up the initial point. And so this will update after we move our camera. So within my top view, I'm going to zoom out a bit. This is orthographic. So I'm going to pull this one out. You can see it's kind of, it's back, it's out there. In my side view, we could see where it's located. So we could see how it's updating camera view 4. So I kind of like all of this. It's like right here. And what I want to do, I want to set keyframes for camera group, camera 4 group or camera number group. Make sure that the auto keyframe toggle down here in the bottom right hand corner is turned on. To set keyframes, specifically only for the translate X, Y, and Z, I'm going to hold down Shift and press W. This will keyframe at frame 1, this location. And now with auto keyframe toggle turned on, I'm going to go ahead and scrub through my animation. I'm going to middle mouse click on camera 4. This selects this camera without moving anything by middle mouse clicking again. And now I'm going to scrub through this and say, for example, right here when it gets up close, I want my camera to be close. So you know what? Around frame 70. So what I'm going to do now, using a combination of my top and front view, I'm going to move my camera up closer. And then you know what? I'm also going to raise it up. Let's see, let's pull it back a bit. If your manipulator handles are too big, you could press the plus or minus keys to make them bigger or smaller. I'm going to make these a little bit smaller. And so what I want, I'm going to middle mouse click on my camera for view because I want, yeah, that's what I want. I want to have this view. It starts off right here. It goes across. And then you know what? What I would like to do right here, maybe I want my, because on this side right here, I want to kind of just shift my camera or have my camera be stationary for all these frames. I'll say to frame 95 to add another keyframe. Notice that because auto keyframe toggled, it already added my keyframe at frame 70. I want to manually add another keyframe right here. I'm going to press Shift W, click, or keyboard shortcut. It's right here so that now, right here, it kind of gets a little low. What I want to do, we'll say again at frame 125. I could go ahead now, shift this off to the side. Let's go ahead and just kind of raise it. I guess lower it so we can see where it's at. Middle mouse click just so we can see our motion. And then what I want to do, I want to go ahead and get closer to my text. So say somewhere around here. Again, I'm just kind of playing by view. And now I want this to be closer. So I'm going to use maybe my top view to move my camera in closer. And let's see what this looks like. Middle mouse click my camera 4 view to activate it. And so I just want to maybe raise it up as well. Oh, that looks good right here. Middle mouse click. Oops. Let's see. You notice that I added a keyframe by accident. I don't want this one here. I'm going to right mouse click on it and tell it to delete key. So it gets a little close because it starts to move. But that's interesting. But here, let's go ahead and check this out. So you have this right here. But if this is too close, I could move my camera back. There it is. I middle mouse clicked on it so I could see the placement. There it is. And maybe right here, I want to go ahead and raise my camera. And I could also push it in closer. Middle mouse click just to see it. Let's see, it's a little too high. We'll go right there. Now notice though, it is pointing at this point. And so I'm not changing the rotation for my camera. I'm just letting my aim adjust my camera. But that is just something to note. And so here, I'm going to go and press the space bar. To really see the framing, if you've already set up your animation settings, you could always click on this icon right here. I just want to change the resolution. I'm going to bring my window across. In the comment tab, we're not going to render it out, but just set up the resolution. Under image size, I'm going to change this to HD, for example, 1080. And this gives me my resolution. It also gives me my the sizing of it because what I want to do, I'm going to select close. Within my camera 4, I'm going to go to view. I'm going to go to camera settings. I'm going to tell it resolution gate, and it gives me a frame. So I could see how it's going to look. If I go back to frame 1, this is going to what it's going to look like so that you get better framing. And towards the end, it is kind of rather high, but it still works. It still works. I could still do some adjustments where I could try to, let's see, just raising it isn't necessarily moving it more centered. Let's see, can we push it closer? Middle mouse click. Let's see, it's a little too high right here. Let's go back right here. That kind of that still works. All right. I'm going to rewind now. Let's go ahead and press the space bar on camera 4. Let's press play. And now we can see this in action. And there you go. This is how you're able to add a camera with aim and point it to your object. In this case, it might have my flying text to be able to constrain it. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for watching.